to be, really feel secure in terms of fodder for their livestock for wintertime. This had always been a problem in Iceland. So maybe that's why this also became so popular, because it did change things. We can't look past that. So that was making, rather dense network draining for hay fields like these. But the second period, you see there's a reduction, because farmers had basically by this time, 1960, they had made the new, what we call nýrækt, enough for these new fields that they were secure. But it continues. It again increases in popularity. And why is that? That's because at this time there was a lot of discussion about the terrible soil erosion taking place, especially in the highlands of Iceland and in some lowland areas, which is a huge problem. And farmers were blamed for this problem, at least in part, because they bring so many livestock up on the highlands, sheep up into the highlands, and these were eating the little bit of vegetation that was left and sort of intensifying the problem of soil erosion. You see this area very badly eroded, just a little bit of soil left there, with some, and the sheep are on top. So the wetland, the farmers started draining the wetlands to create the rangeland to bring the sheep down from the highland. That was the motive. It didn't work very well because the sheep did not like the vegetation, and they did not gain enough mass, I guess, get enough meat and get fat enough, according to the farmers' liking at least. So so here you see a picture from South Iceland. Here is the farmstead. This is the hay fields that were created around the farm. You see the dense network of ditches in the first wave. And then we have all these other ditches that were much further apart and therefore affected a much, much, much larger area in this second wave. And this just continued. There was never any cost-benefit analysis, any kind of evaluation of what this was really, returning. This, for example, is in Loðmundarfjörður fjord in eastern Iceland. Right after they drained all these wetlands, everybody left, abandoned the farms. It's never used. This is common in many parts of Iceland. In some parts, because this was paid for, the farmers would, to demarcate their land, instead of building fences, they would dig ditches, because that's what it was free. For example, here is where 3 farmsteads came together in this pond, and they just put these ditches to demarcate their land, and of course they drained the pond, and the drainage water is bringing a lot of iron, which comes into solution in the peat soil, and then when it comes out, it participates out and forms these colloidal iron oxides and really affects water quality.
I think you should mention that the iron is natural to the soil.
Yeah, it's natural to the soil. It's very natural to the soil, and it's not a problem when you have the peatland intact and the water quality is very good. But once you put a ditch in, the iron-laden water, because iron will be in solution within the matrix in the anaerobic condition, once it comes out and into the ditch water and starts flowing away, oxygen will come and it will precipitate out and form these colloidal iron oxides. So that's another problem. There were lots of farmers doing this, just huge, long ditches demarcating their property, which would then drain large areas. In other areas like this Flæðimýri, this intermittently flooded wetland, this river, Ölfusá, keeps up the water table high. Why they put all of these ditches in? They're always chock full of water. It's just a waste of money. It would never drain this area anyway. So, well, So we could say, well, the wetland is then still a wetland, yes, but there's a lot of waste of money, and it's rather ugly, I think. But so you see, there was nobody checking this and really evaluating what is this returning? Why are we putting all this taxpayers' money into this? Yes?
How did it work that it was paid for? Like, what was the funding process?
I'm not familiar exactly how it was done, but basically farmer would get paid per volumetric meter, cubic meter of soil that was dug up. And so it's basic, or really by length of ditch that was dug, you would get paid back. It was supposed to be somewhere between 80–85% of the cost, but I think that was like if you paid somebody to do it for you. But if you farmers got together and had the machines themselves and did them themselves, you would actually probably even make money. That's my view. I don't have anything to support that, but I think that's how it was done. You basically got a fixed amount per length of a meter of ditch or kilometer ditch that you dug. So it was a fixed amount. Okay, so how are we doing time-wise?
About 20 minutes.
20 minutes, okay. Okay, so how much, what percentage, or what is the areal extent of drained wetlands in Iceland? Well, there have been 2 studies in 2 specific regions. I studied in Western Iceland. This is, I don't know if you're familiar with this. This is Hvalfjörður, where there's a tunnel underneath, and this is Borgarnes is here, Borgarfjörður. I'll show you this on a map later. Basically, these areas above 200 meters, not farming districts. This is farming. The black areas are wetlands. This is the ocean. This is how it was pre-drainage, the extent of wetlands. Oh. This is what was left in 1994. About 80% had been disturbed, not fully drained. About 40% had been fully drained for so you could use them for agricultural purposes, drive a tractor on and so on. But I mapped it, what had been disturbed where the water table had been altered. The situation in the other study by Thora L. and Þórhallsdóttir and some others, looking at southern lowlands, this is actually a much larger area. This was the extent, pre-drainage extent. And this is what is left. And this is not these peatlands, these are the rivers and lakes. The peatlands left undisturbed are these little things. There's 3% left undisturbed in this region, which is our main agricultural region, so that's maybe understandable to a degree. So this is the southern region that I just showed you an image of, and this is the area that I studied. So the question is, okay, here we have about 80% disturbed, 97% disturbed. So what is the situation for the whole country? How can we figure that out? If you look at an aerial view, this is from the southern lowlands, it's easy to say, well, that it's all disturbed. I mean, yes, it's wet in here, you see the darker colors, but can you talk about this as being a function of wetland? This used to be a part of a former contiguous wetland. Can you call it a wetland today? Is it functioning in the same way? I don't think so. This is the area that they formerly flooded. This is flooded. This is Selfoss. This is the huge area that they flooded. But now it's all been drained. But if you look in other parts, this is from West Iceland. Here's a farm. This is what the farm has drained. This is what it's currently using as fields. You see it's drained a lot more than it's using. This farmer maybe was more conservative. It's using everything that he or she drained. And then there are areas like this one is obviously very wet, and here. And this is, you could say, intact wetlands, although probably it's been altered in some fashion because this used to be a continuous or contiguous wetland, and now it's does have drainage ditches in various places, probably overall lowering the water table.